the 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Now entering the game for Philly Pressbox Radio, Bill Furman and Jim Chet Chesko.
It's Wednesday, November 20th, 2024. Welcome to the Philly Pressbox Radio Roundtable, brought to you by the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA, and Cavs Philly Tailgates. I'm Bill Furman. I'll be your host tonight, along with my partner, Jim Chet Chesko. Chet, the Eagles rolled the Washington Commanders in what seems like a long time ago to go to 8-2 with a tougher schedule ahead, that's for sure. The Flyers have climbed out of the basement, making some forward progress. The Sixers, they're now 2-11, and the wheels seem to be coming off. And Joel Embiid is right in the middle of that. We're certainly going to be talking a lot about that. You might have missed it, but there was a little fight Friday night that we have to discuss. Add in a little music and our fearless picks, and we have plenty to talk about tonight in Philly sports.
Can we do all that in 1 hour? I don't know. It's going to be tough. We're going to give it our best, folks. Stuff we unfortunately won't get to during this week's show. Penn State notching an impressive blowout victory. Temple firing its head football coach after a win. The Jags not firing Doug Peterson despite a 46-point loss on Sunday. Go figure. He's still there, at least for now.
Yep.
And we also won't get to Bill's predictions for tonight's Country Music Awards. Sorry, folks.
Well, there's a better chance of me watching them than there are Hollywood shows. So there is a possibility of that. But, hey, we do have a couple great guests tonight, and singer-songwriter Chuck Brodsky making his first visit to Philly Pressbox Radio, and sports director of Delmarva Sports Network and co-host of the Locked On 76ers podcast, Kayla Santiago, makes a return visit to Philly Pressbox Radio.
Yeah, a couple of very impressive, talented people. Kayla, a rising star in the sports media world. Chuck, a diehard Phillies fan his entire life, who is also a well-respected singer-songwriter. In fact, he's written 2 full albums of baseball ballads. Everybody, you will like both of these interviews, I promise you.
All right. Well, hey, let's talk Eagles. They took care of business the other night against Washington. It kind of started a little bit slow on offense.
As usual.
Saquon and the O-line took over. Another solid game by the defense.
Yeah, the defense has really been playing so great since the bye. Vic Fangio's got those guys all on the same page, looking real good. The young guys in the secondary, particularly Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, they've been great. Jalen Carter looking terrific again as one of the inside tackles on the line. The linebackers continuing to play very, very good. Saquon Barkley, what can you say about him on offense?
Yeah, well, he's certainly running the show. And those guys you mentioned, Jalen Carter is having a Pro Bowl season. You realize he played every play, every snap. Remember last year he was playing like 30 snaps. He was out of shape. He couldn't go. And this year he is playing at a Pro Bowl level. And that's great to see.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, and I thought that Washington game, I never thought that game was in doubt. It was just a matter of whether the Eagles offense, when they were going to get it going. Of course, they missed a couple field goals that they don't usually miss. But Washington did not impress me even a little bit in that game. I just didn't see it. Jaden Daniels was throwing off his back feet twisted up. I just wasn't impressed.
Well, he is banged up a little bit, so you got to give him a little bit of leniency there. But, I mean, they did have a great offense going into that game. I know they didn't look good during that game, Bill. You and I went back and forth a little bit on Facebook about that. But, yeah, they certainly didn't look like a contending team last Thursday night. So, and their schedule's not real easy down the road either. So I really like our chances as far as, the Eagles winning the NFC East.
Yeah, what about the Jake Elliott deal? Jake Elliott misses a couple field goals. Yeah. Justin Tucker, who is maybe the best kicker in the league, he misses a couple field goals. Yeah. The guy from Cincinnati misses a couple field goals. That stuff doesn't happen. What's going on with them weirdo kickers?
Well, Justin Tucker's getting up there in age. Maybe that's coming into play there. Jake Elliott, only 29, though. I don't think age is the factor right there. I'm just going to chalk it up to a bad day, and maybe the fact that he doesn't get quite as much use as he used to because Nick goes for it on fourth down so often. But he hasn't made a field goal yet this season, 0 for 4 from beyond 50 yards. That's not the Jake Elliott we've gotten used to seeing over the last 6 years.
Yeah, and not the one we're going to need. Down the stretch, we're going to need some big field goals. So he's going to have to make that. But hey, let's get on to the Rams. The Rams are 5-5. They're fighting for a playoff spot. They're on the outside right now. If the season ended, they don't play the run defense that well. They're 18th in the league. The Eagles' run offense, of course, is first. I'm thinking we see another full dose of Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? You hate to see A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith maybe not getting as many opportunities as we would like to see, or as probably as many as they would like to see either. But when you got a guy like Saquon who doesn't look like he's getting tired a bit, in fact, as the games go on, he looks fresher and fresher in the second half. So, hey, use the guy, wear him out. The Eagles have done very well out in Los Angeles over the years. I think they are 3-0 against the Rams in L.A. since the 2017 season. So, hey, do whatever works for you. But I think this is going to be a pretty good game. The Eagles are favored by 3. We'll make our picks later on.
Yeah, well, here's the key to the game. Write this down. All right, put it in concrete.
I got it.
The Rams are 7th in passing, 26th in rushing.
Okay.
They don't like to run the ball, or they're not. They don't have a lot of success running the ball. They do like to throw it, and I think I'm really looking forward to seeing how this young defense handles Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell. They have a 3-headed monster out there that can all catch the ball. Going to be a good test for the Eagles secondary this week against maybe the best passing team they've seen so far.
Yeah, going to be fun. Looking forward to it. Should be a good one. And then you got the Ravens the following week. So a couple of tough games coming up. And this game particularly, by the way, very important for the Eagles in terms of the conference standings, because you win this, it helps your chances in terms of the overall conference record. Detroit's got some tough games ahead too. So, again, you would love to come away with a victory.
Yeah. One final comment on the Eagles, Chet. Who would have thought that after 10 games we would be sitting here saying that Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean have made 177 tackles in 10 games. 101 for Bond, 76 for Dean. Those linebackers that we don't ever have are averaging almost 18 tackles a game between solos and assists. That's pretty darn good.
Can't wait for Sunday.
Absolutely, me either. All right. Hey, for the first time, guest and singer-songwriter Chuck Brodsky. Tell us a little bit about Chuck.
Well, Bill, I met Chuck through back in March. We had on the show an author named Eric Gray, who has written a couple of great books that each has a dozen or dozens of short baseball stories in there, including the one Backyards to Ballparks. And then I got to meet Eric in person a month or so later in Villanova, and he told me about this guy, Chuck Brodsky, who's originally from the area and is a pretty popular singer-songwriter. He's actually written 24 songs about baseball. So I agreed with Eric that Chuck would be a fun guest for our show, and we finally did make it happen, and it was a blast as expected. So here is that chat. Well, as much fun as it is to talk Philly sports every week, it's also nice to mix in a little conversation about music once in a while, and this guy can certainly talk about both. He is a singer-songwriter from the Philly area originally, who happens to be a lifelong Phillies fan as well. Let's talk to Chuck Brodsky. Hey, Chuck, how are you, man?
I'm good, Chet. How are you?
Very good, very good. Hey, I want to ask you, when people go to your website, the aptly named chuckbrodsky.com, it says you are genuine, quirky, and rootsy. I have no doubt you're genuine, but what makes you quirky?
Well, I'm not writing songs that I think people typically would write. I don't write a lot of love songs or songs about me personally. I tell a lot of stories. I look for oddball characters or oddball tales, things that haven't been written about before. So I think that's a bit quirky.
Nice. My research led me to discovering that in 2019, you were inducted into the Philadelphia Jewish Sports Hall of Fame. I'm guessing that's for your musical achievements and not your athletic prowess, but maybe I'm wrong.
It's for my music, yes.
That's a nice honor, though.
It's a great honor. It's amazing. I was inducted with Howie Roseman, Eagles GM, and a fellow that played for the Boston Bruins.
Was that the year Jason Stark went in, or was that a different year?
I think it was the year after.
Okay. You know, the funny thing is, I saw you had a photo of Jason somewhere, and I saw he did a nice forward for you somewhere. And I was actually just talking to him the other night before I had realized that connection with you. Great guy. Love Jason Stark. Big fan of his.
Wonderful, wonderful human being. I actually sang at the after party when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, wow.
That was great fun. I've known Jason for years and meet up with him down in spring training. And sometimes he's able to make it to some of my shows with his wife, Lisa.
Yeah, we've had him on Philly Pressbox Radio 3 or 4 times, and we'll do so again, I think, in February. So that'll be cool. Hey, you've written and recorded a bunch of baseball songs. We'll get to that in just a minute. But I'm guessing that your father, Frank Brodsky, whom I had the pleasure of meeting last April, had a hand in you becoming a big Phillies fan at a young age. Is that right?
Absolutely. He used to take me to Connie Mack Stadium probably from the time I was 3 years old until the very last game I ever played there we were at. We knocked our seats off the hinges and still have them.
Oh, wow. And I know that for many years you have met up in Florida, I guess the Clearwater area primarily these days, for spring training. You still do that?
We do. Yeah. Mom started joining us a couple years ago. So we have another fella in our party, and we go to 5 or 6 games every year. And I stick around and play a couple of shows while I'm down there. It's great fun.
Any other specific or, unique memories you have as a kid regarding the Phillies?
Well, seeing Dick Allen play, he still is my favorite baseball player of all time. And I was just a little kid at the time when he was playing for the Phillies. And I distinctly remember how half the stadium would boo him while, the other half absolutely loved him. But those are probably my biggest memories, although certainly listening to Harry Callis and Richie Ashburn together and before that by Psalm, those are some wonderful memories. And in fact, when I moved to North Carolina and I was looking at the very first place I was thinking about moving to, I had to make sure that I was able to pick up. Back then it was 12:10 a.m. that carried the Phillies game. I had to make sure that I could pick that up down here in Asheville before I would commit to moving to that place. And I literally sat out in my car in the evening. And when I realized I could pick up the station, I said, okay, I'll move here, because this was pre-internet. So it meant a lot to me to, be able to pick up Phillies games at night and listen to Harry and Whitey.
All right, your many baseball songs. An official at the National Baseball Hall of Fame called you baseball's troubadour, poet laureate. Nice. You've performed 3 or 4 times there in Cooperstown. You recorded 2 full albums of baseball ballads, as you call them. And there were a couple that jumped out at me right away as a Phillies fan, including this one from 2002 about the guys you were just talking about, Whitey and Harry.
Hey, Whitey man, I miss you. When I listen to the Phillies, and there's Harry going on without you. For the first time since I was 7.
That's very cool, Chuck. And by the way, this Harry and Whitey bobblehead, one of my prized possessions. I bet you have it too. So apparently you're much beloved at the Baseball Hall of Fame. Not only have you performed there, like I said a few times, 18 of your baseball songs have been enshrined in the Hall's sound recording library. That's pretty cool.
It's now up to 22.
Oh, wow. So can we say you're in the Baseball Hall of Fame?
Well, I don't like to scratch things, but my songs are in the sound recording library.
Hey, you and I are in pretty much the same general age group. We are AARP worthy, which means we've had, fond memories of a certain controversial Philly slugger. In fact, you mentioned him earlier, said he's your favorite player, one of my favorites too. What was it that made you such a fan of Richie or Dick Allen?
Well, besides his natural talent, I think I was very sensitive even as a 5, 6, 7-year-old to the racism of the day. And I understood he was being treated unfairly by the fans and by the media. And it bothered me a lot as a kid, and it probably made me empathize with him and love him even more.
And all of that leads us right into another song of yours about the guy we just talked about, and it's the song Letters in the Dirt.
Me and you, we never booed Richie Allen. I never understood why people did. He had a homer every time he stepped up to the plates. That's what I remember as a kid. Richie in the field out there by first base, the target of some mighty foul words. With his shoes he'd scrawl between the pitches. Boo, great big letters in the dirt.
That's good stuff right there, Chuck. Man, I'm sure hoping this is finally the year, because they are voting again, that Dick gets into the Hall of Fame.
I hope so too. It's way overdue, in my opinion, way overdue.
Yeah. I got to see him, as you did, at Connie Mack Stadium. I don't know if it's true or not, but I think I did see him hit a home run, and he hit some, majestic shots. He was like must-see TV when, the games were on. And, getting to see him in person, certainly a memory for me. Hey, I should note that both of those songs, Letters in the Dirt and Whitey and Harry, are on the first of your two baseball ballads albums. There's also a second one that has songs about Roberto Clemente, Harry Carey, and even the White Sox Disco Demolition Night. How many songs have you written about baseball, Chuck?
23 so far, and I've got a few starts on some others.
So there might be a number 3, volume 3?
I hope to put out a third one. I really do. I'm only one song away from having enough to do it.
Hey, by the way, on the album cover, you're wearing a jersey number 28. Any particular reason for that number?
Well, that was my dad's jersey during Dream Week. He did Dream Week 5 times years ago. And when I was headed off for the photo shoot, at the last second, it occurred to me that some of Dad's gear might look really nice in some of these photos. So I went down, grabbed his old catcher's equipment and his old Dream Week uniform, and we went out to the Reading Phillies stadium and used the locker room there and took those nice shots.
By the way, I want to mention your dad, just a super guy. I did have a nice chat with him back in April. He's what, 90 or 91 now?
I think he's 91. Yeah.
Yeah, and seems to be in pretty good shape, too. By the way, numbers, Phillies who have worn number 28 include currently Alec Boehm, Vince Velasquez, Jason Worth, Mitch Williams for a bit before he went to 99, Shane Raleigh, Tyler Green, Sparky Lyle, Art Mahaffey, and Kurt Simmons. That's quite a list.
It's a great list.
One other song I want to ask you about. I know it's one that gets a lot of attention for good reason. The Ballad of Eddie Klepp. Tell me about that.
Well, it's actually the very first historical baseball song that I ever wrote, and it involved some help from the Baseball Hall of Fame. This predated the internet, and I thought that I wanted to write a song about Jackie Robinson. I went down to the old Borders bookstore in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, and was thumbing through a book on Jackie, and I stumbled on a little footnote about this fella named Eddie Klepp, who was the first white man to ever play in the Negro Leagues. And I thought, there's my story right there. But, like I said, it predated the internet. I didn't know where I could possibly pick up information for the story. And my dad suggested that I contact the Baseball Hall of Fame. So I phoned, not even knowing that there was a research department there. And the director of the department, Tim Wiles, happened to answer my call. And when I asked him if he knew who Eddie Klepp was, he said, no, who was he? And when I told him what little I knew, his answer was, that sounds like it would make a great poem or song. And Tim became a great ally of mine for all of the songs on that first Baseball Ballads album.
The color line, the one without you, a white man
by the time the second album came along, the internet had been developed and you could Google things, and I didn't need his help as much. But for all of the songs on my first Baseball Ballads album, Tim sent me a wealth of background information on the subjects I was writing about.
And I think he's the guy who named you baseball's troubadour poet laureate, right?
Right.
Hey, did I see that you do a lot of concert tours in Ireland and Scotland most years?
Well, they're not concert tours. They're fan tours. I take 22 people with me, and I do them through 2 separate companies, but the itineraries are really beautiful and well-honed, and they're music tours. So every night we have music, either private concerts at our hotel from some serious major league artists, or we'll go to pubs and hear traditional Irish or Scottish music. And a couple of times on each tour, I do private concerts for the group as well. But I take 22 people on each tour. We have a full-time guide that travels with us, and they're wonderful tours. I've done about 30 of the Ireland tours over the years, and I've done 6 or 7 of the Scotland tours.
My wife and I visited Ireland and Scotland a few years ago, and we'll be going back in 2025, so can't wait for that. Hey, you are living in North Carolina these days, but you're in the Philly area for the next couple of weeks with a couple of concerts on your near-term schedule. Tell us about what you have planned.
Well, Friday I'll be in Bethlehem at a wonderful folk music venue called Godfrey Daniels. It's kind of last of a dying breed, a real traditional listening room folk club. They've been around for a long, long time. They're nonprofit. I love everything about it. And then on Saturday the 30th, I'll be in Villanova to play the Musical Layers house concert. And I think this will be possibly the 22nd straight year, minus the 2 COVID years that I've done this on Thanksgiving weekend. And it's always a great time. It's a great turnout. She has a large house and can seat a lot of people. So if anybody's interested in coming to either of those shows, they could find the information on my website, chuckbrodsky.com.
So at your concerts, to be clear, I'm assuming it's mostly non-baseball songs with a few baseball tunes thrown in?
That's usually how it goes. I'll try to do 2 or 3 baseball songs at least in every show, but I also try not to overdo it for the people that don't particularly care about baseball. Although I do have to say that the songs are more people songs anyway. They just happen to be set in the realm of baseball, but they're really more about the people and the characters involved than the sport of baseball.
Well, as expected, Chuck, this was lots of fun. Folks, check out this website for information on all of his music, concert dates, and all sorts of other fun stuff. A lot of good pictures on there, too. That website, chuckbrodsky.com. And as it says right there on the website, he's quirky and rootsy, but as we all just discovered, he's also pretty genuine as well. Thanks a bunch, Chuck.
My pleasure, Chet. Thank you for having me.
Man, that was pretty neat.
Yeah, Chuck's a good guy, and great to meet him and talk to him. Very interesting. And how about that? He's got 22 songs in the Baseball Hall of Fame Sound Library in Cooperstown.
Yeah, I don't know if that counts for you being inducted or not. You know?
Yes. He said, no, not really. But
yeah, I heard what he said, but I think he was being modest. I think we add that to our list of Hall of Fame guests. What do you think?
There you go. Let's do it.
All right.
Thank you, Chuck.
Hey, yeah, thank you, Chuck. As we told you in recent weeks, Philly Pressbox Radio is now part of a new podcast network, the STT Sports Network, as in Set the Trends. It's a network set up by our pal, Phil Stifle, host of the terrific Trending in the AM show. You can find every weekday morning on STT Sports Network YouTube channel. They also have Philly Pressbox Radio on their YouTube channel as well. Check out Phil. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Phil's show is on there, and of course now is ours. You can find Philly Pressbox Radio in addition to our YouTube channel and on our Facebook page. That hasn't changed. Again, it's the STT Sports Network setting the trends for what sports should be. And Chet, just a little note, I will be on the morning show next Tuesday. Next Tuesday. So check that out. I'll be joining Phil for my first visit to his show.
You'll have fun. You'll have fun for sure.
Looking forward to it. Hey, tell us what's going on over at the Irish Rover Station House.
The Irish Rover, Bill, you know this. The Rover in Langhorne, Pennsylvania has happy hour specials, always 24 beers on tap, and Thursday through Sunday dinner specials. And, oh, yeah, Thanksgiving's coming up. So next Friday, they have their annual Black Friday gift card sale. That is Friday the 29th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. You buy a $50 gift card, and you get another $10 card thrown in. Then on December 3rd, it is a sip and shop event. Yeah, that evening, a number of local vendors will be there in the banquet room at the Irish Rover Station House, selling all sorts of great items ahead of the holidays. And, Bill, it has now officially been announced. The annual Irish Rover Ugly Sweater Party will happen Thursday, December 19th, starting at 7 p.m. that evening. Get your sweater ready, kids. Irish Rover Station House is on Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne. And, of course, I will be there at the Rover for the Ugly Sweater Party. I wouldn't miss it. The Irish Rover Station House, Bill.
Yeah, well, how do you decide when you just look in your closet? You have so many ugly sweaters, Christmas sweaters. How do you decide which one you're going to wear? Or did you buy a new one each year?
I bought a new one. I just bought a new one last weekend, Bill, at BJ's or Walmart or somewhere. I did buy a new ugly sweater, and I promise you, it will be ugly.
Hi, football fans. This is Merrill Reese, and you're listening to Bill and Chet on Philly Pressbox Radio. It's good!
Hey, you know what? Merle has got to be pretty happy with the way things are going on with those Eagles right now. That's for sure. But what he's not happy about, I guarantee, is that the Sixers are a mess. They're now 2-11. Joel Embiid is right in the middle of it. The rumor is, and you and Kayla talked just earlier today, may be able to shed some light on this, that the big three may all be playing tonight. So we'll look into that. But we're going to get to the bottom of all of it, what's going on with our next guest of Locked On 76ers podcast, Kayla Santiago.
Yeah, I haven't heard the update on Maxey as yet. There's an 8:00 game in Memphis, and he was upgraded earlier today to questionable because he had been out, the last couple of weeks with the injury. So I haven't heard an update of that. If somebody does know, let me know, please.
Well, on the 620 news, the regular news, they still said maybe.
So it could be a game time decision. We'll see.
Yep.
Yeah, the Sixers, Bill, have been awful of late, but they are giving us plenty to talk about and to complain about 4 weeks into the season. Well, I talked with Kayla about all of that just a few hours ago, and, well, she did not mince words about the situation.
What you can't excuse is you not showing up, you not being there at practice on time, you not being there at meetings on time, because this can roll into something that we do not want to see. I need to see Joel Embiid take accountability, and that starts in the Memphis game.
It has somehow been 2.5 years since we last talked with this terrific sports journalist. She's the sports director for the Delmarva Sports Network. She covers the Delaware Bluecoats, and with our pal Keith Pompey, she co-hosts the daily Locked On 76ers podcast. We say hello once again to Kayla Santiago. Hey, Kayla.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. It has been a while, certainly. It won't be our only topic, but we have to start with, well, what happened Monday night with the mess that is the Philadelphia 76ers. I guess the good news is you and Keith have plenty to talk about every day, but here we go. The reports say Tyrese called out Joel Embiid for being late for practice and pretty much every other team function. How have we gotten to this dumpster fire situation, as you put it, Kayla?
It is so brutal right now, and a dumpster fire is exactly what it is. I love that Tyrese Maxey is going out there and saying you need to make yourself be held accountable, but Tyrese shouldn't be saying that to the franchise player of the Philadelphia 76ers. So it is just a mess right now in this organization. And Keith and I talked about how this road trip could possibly have an identity for the Philadelphia 76ers. Well, these next 5 games before December hits, it's going to really tell us who this team is and who Joel Embiid wants to turn out to be. Is he just going to sit there? Is he going to lay back? Because listen, Joel Embiid is out there not playing like he even wants to play the game of basketball. I'm talking no free throw attempts for the first time since 2017, 2018. Not even the swoop thing he does that he gets called almost every single time for. There was no sense of urgency out there. I'm glad Tyrese Maxey called him out, but you shouldn't have to do that for your franchise players. So we'll see if Joel Embiid takes that criticism and actually starts to show up on time and be there and put in the work. Or if it's just going to be, all right, if you don't do this, then maybe this is Tyrese Maxey's team now.
Well, he's played just 3 games so far, Embiid. He's not shooting well. He looks lethargic. He didn't even get to the free throw line, as you said, Monday. That certainly is a rarity. Now, is this, do you think, still because he's ramping up from whatever knee issue he had, or is it something more than that, perhaps?
I think part of it is the knee issue. I definitely think every time he comes back from an injury, it always seems to be that he's not playing very well or at his best, and the cardio isn't there. And I understand that point. The part I don't understand is we've seen a 50% Joel Embiid, and we've said, well, okay, we want him to play even if he's at 50% because his value is out there. Well, it wasn't out there in the last game that they just played against the Miami Heat. He was a -22, and Andre Drummond was a +13 on the floor. So when you look at that, you say, Joel's not even doing the small things out there anymore, and that's just him not wanting to be out there. I don't know what's going on. Clearly, there's tension in the locker room happening right now, and the situations arising earlier on in this season with Joel Embiid and his family being talked about and things like that. So maybe that's in the back of his head and more of a mental game for Joel right now. But I can excuse being lethargic and the cardio not being there and possibly being injured. I cannot excuse you going out there and just not putting in any type of effort to play the game of basketball.
Now, full disclosure, we're speaking at midday Wednesday, so we're not sure as yet whether Tyrese Maxey will be in the lineup tonight in Memphis. But we will very soon, we think, finally see the big 3, Maxey, Embiid, and Paul George on the court together. But still, it's going to take a while. How long do you think it will take for the guys to, gel?
It's so interesting because it's not even the 3 of them, but I look now, too, at Jared McCain and how Jared McCain will gel with Paul George, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey. And I say that because Jared McCain has been playing so well, but he's not going to be the primary scorer when you have those 3 guys on the floor. So do you bring him off the bench? I think that's something that Nick Nurse should look at. And I don't want to throw Jared McCain to the bench because he's been so good, but he is not going to have the same value in a starting lineup with Paul George, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey. They're just not going to give him the ball. It is going to take some time. I say if Tyrese Maxey comes back in 2 games, it probably will take to that December game. But the fact that Jared McCain is giving you 20 points in that last game against Miami Heat, and you can't even score 90 with Joel Embiid and Paul George on the floor, Tyrese Maxey is going to elevate that, and I think he is going to be the one that puts this team together because he cares. He wants to be out there. He wants to play well, and that's really going to lift morale of the team if Joel Embiid can get on board and not take the criticism as a bad thing.
Well, you mentioned the one major bright spot in this horrible 2-11 start to the season, and that is the play of the rookie guard, Jared McCain. What is your take on his performance, and how might his role change once Maxey does come back and get into the starting lineup?
So I've said this on Locked On 76ers with Keith. I was not a fan when the 76ers drafted Jared McCain because Dalton Connect was still on the board. And I thought that he would have been a better fit for the right now Philadelphia 76ers. And in my mind, it's okay. It's in a win now situation for this team because Joel Embiid says he has 8 years, but really maybe he has 2 left where he can play at a super high level. So Jared McCain was a pick more for the future. Or so I thought, because he is proving me wrong, and I absolutely love it. Defensively, that's something you still worry about. It's a really small backcourt with him and Tyrese Maxey. But offensively, I mean, he is leading all rookies right now. He is the favorite to win Rookie of the Year. Now, I think those odds will go down a little bit once Tyrese Maxey does come back. But it has been so fun to watch him, and he is exactly what this team needs right now. Consistently, they've had rookies that they look to be high caliber players and to be like somebody like Jared McCain that can knock down shots, and it hasn't worked out. McCain was quite the opposite, expecting him not to be that guy right away, and he certainly has. With that being said, and I've alluded to it, I want him to come off the bench when Tyrese Maxey comes back because I think you lose that value of that point scoring, being able to knock down shots. Maybe he's the primary ball handler in that second unit. So I would like to see him come in on that second unit. I'm thinking, hey, 6th man of the year type vibes, Lou Williams type vibes when he was on the Philadelphia 76ers and what Lou Will was able to do throughout his career. That is who Jerry McCain is to me right now. I think Nick Nurse is probably going to try him in the starting lineup early on, but I just don't think he's going to be able to be as valuable and as effective being on the floor at the same time with Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, and Joel Embiid.
I loved Lou Williams, by the way. Great
Me
player.
too.
Hey, with the whole Embiid saga, a lot of people have asked, not just me, where is Daryl Morey? I mean, is it fair for Nick Nurse to have to be the guy to come out and address this situation all the time?
It's so tough because, you know, Daryl Morey is somebody who I truly believe wants to build around Joel Embiid. And a lot of people are saying and starting to blame Daryl Morey and saying this team is constructed pretty badly. You have a lot of vets that are being outrun by a lot of younger players when you play those young teams in the league. But what do you expect when you have and you're paying Paul George, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey? You're not going to be able to get a bunch of the young guards out there that you also have to pay. So the blame for Daryl Morey, I think, is on that. This constructed lineup isn't fantastic, and I think you could have gotten some better pieces. As much as I love Kyle Lowry and what he did for Villanova, I didn't love him on the Raptors. He's just somebody that it's tough to see him on the floor at this point. But also there is conversations coming out that this team wants to be coach charter. So from that standpoint, that absolutely relies on Nick Nurse. You need to be able to coach these guys harder, and your players shouldn't be asking of that. And that was surprising to me to hear and to see. Now, is Joel just saying that because he got called out? Maybe, but Nick Nurse didn't seem like the guy after having that whole stand with Toronto and Kawhi Leonard that would be like, okay, guys, you just do what you want. I expect more out of that because that's who Doc Rivers was, and that's who Nick Nurse cannot be.
Well, final thing on Embiid, and you mentioned the various options, but how do you see this playing out? I mean, will Embiid, do you think, respond positively to the criticism and, you know, again, when healthy, become the dominant center that we've come to know and love, or will it just spiral further downward?
I think he has to. He is going to lose this city if he does not. And Joel has come out a ton of times and saying, I can't stand the criticism in the terms of people are saying I haven't done enough for this city. I played with a broken face. I played with a torn thumb. I have put my body on the line when I'm extremely unhealthy to be able to play for the city. And nobody is saying that is incorrect. And people appreciate that. But on the other side, how many fans from Philadelphia have had a chance to say, we're going to ride with Joel Embiid no matter what? He gets injured every playoffs. It's because maybe he's a little bit injury prone, but at the same time, he's the franchise guy. We're going to make sure that we cheer him on no matter what. When he comes back, we're going to ride for Joel Embiid. So if you do this, you are going to lose the city of Philadelphia. And if he does this, it is going to be Tyrese Maxey's team. Joel Embiid doesn't have 8 years left in his prime. I know he says he wants to play that long. Maybe he has 8 more years in him to be the second or third option, but it's going to be Tyrese Maxey's team once Joel starts to get a little bit older. That conditioning really starts to go down later in his career. It's going to be Maxey's team. I don't want it to be Maxey's team right now. I want it to stay Joel's team because that's how they win an NBA Finals. But if he comes out and he does not play well and he does not perform well, and I'm not saying he needs to have 35 points and 25 boards. I'm saying I need to see some effort out there. I need to see that you care. I need to see that you want to be on the floor. And if I don't see that in this game against Memphis, it's a downward spiral from here.
So a month ago, ahead of the season opener, Bill Furman and I, my partner on here, predicted 46 and 47 wins, respectively, for the Sixers. We had Keith Pompey on, your co-host on Locked On 76ers. He went with 51. Those are all looking overly optimistic at this point after the 2-11 start. So right now, Kayla, what are you thinking? How many wins this year? Do they make the playoffs?
It's so tough because my whole thing is they need to get a high seed in the playoffs if they want to get past the second round. I mean, you look at the Celtics right now. They played the Cavs last night, and now the Cavs were able to come back, but the Celtics pretty much had control of that game through 3 quarters. I mean, Boston is just on a whole nother level. And then you got the New York Knicks, and then you have the Cleveland Cavaliers. And these are teams that the Celtics are up here, but these other teams that are right below them, they're not necessarily on par with Boston, but they are really, really good, and they are going to be really tough to beat. So I think the Sixers need to somehow, some way get in the 3 seed. I don't even want to see them in the 4 seed, but that might happen at this point. You definitely don't want to see them drop to the play-in. I think they do make the playoffs. I don't see them missing out on the playoffs. And the only reason to me that they would miss out if Joel Embiid takes what Tyree said negatively and doesn't play up to the level that he can play, because they don't win anything without Joel Embiid at his best. And if he can't do that, yeah, they're not going to make the playoffs. But if he can, I still do think that they will be able to make the playoffs. Right now, I think the highest they can get, though, is the 3 seed. I don't see them going any higher than that with the teams in the East.
Oh, I would take the 3 seed in a heartbeat. Believe
yeah,
me.
I would too. We need some teams to lose. We need some luck on our side too. So we'll wait and see if that happens. But I think you can't go into the playoffs as a play-in team and then get knocked out by Boston or the Knicks or even the Cavs in round number 1. That's what it could look like, though.
All right, quick thought about the Eagles, Kayla. They are 8-2 right now, riding a 6-game win streak. Couple of challenging road games up next. The LA Rams, then the Baltimore Ravens. How are you feeling about the Birds and their outlook?
Oh, I love it. It's the only team in Philadelphia that's got people excited right now. You know, it's interesting because I think that Commanders game really showed who Philadelphia was and what this team can do, because Washington is a very good team. Now they're young with their starting quarterback, and I understand that, but you're competing for the NFC East at this point, and it's the Commanders or Philadelphia, and now the Eagles are able to be in that number 1 spot for the time being. So I love what they're doing. I love to see it right now. There were some growing pains early on in the season, but once again, and I've said this with the 76ers and the Philadelphia Eagles, when you don't play preseason games, your season is going to start out rough. You're still getting used to that game speed, and that's how things kind of started a little bit. Even if they were winning games, people were like, well, this doesn't look good. That doesn't look good. Jalen doesn't look 100%. He's missing his spots. He's missing his reads. But now, oh, I'm loving it. The Philadelphia Eagles, they are the fun team to watch right now. And hey, Jalen and the rest of the company, Devontae and AJ carrying the squad. It's been fun to watch. And of course, we can't forget about Saquon Barkley. I don't know what the Giants were doing, but whatever they did, I'm happy about it, because Saquon has been a very, very pleasant surprise in terms of staying healthy, but also not a surprise at all because we knew what he could do.
In our final minute, Kayla, last thing, in addition to working with our pal Keith Pompey at the Locked On 76ers podcast, you are also, as I mentioned, the sports director at Delmarva Sports Network. Tell us what that encompasses and your duties there.
Oh, it is so much, but it's so much fun at the same time. So yeah, I'm the sports director. I oversee our entire operation, and we are a 24/7 sports station on TV in Salisbury, Maryland. So we broadcast a live game every single day, and then we have a late show at 10:30 p.m. every night. We do semi-pro level, college level, and high school level for our live broadcast, and then we also go and cover the Ravens, the Orioles in terms of reporting. So I get to do a little bit of everything. I anchor our show every night. I also do play-by-play. I'm super excited because basketball season for high school and college is really starting to turn out right now, and that's my favorite time of the year. So I'm looking forward to being on the call for a lot of different basketball games, a lot of different high school tournaments that we have, and then also reporting on those big games. So doing play-by-play reporting and anchoring, but also overseeing our operation. We just extended to 5 games a night, 4 behind a paywall, and 1 is free over the air. So we have 5 different games right now. DSM Plus, people, if they want to subscribe, they can too. It is really cool to be able to see how we've grown. It's only been over just 2 years of us having this full 24/7 production on TV backed by our parent company and Draper Media. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been really exciting to see how we've grown as a network. And I love overseeing the operation. It's fun to kind of be a leader and, you know, lead a team to success and go through the trials and tribulations. And then also, of course, doing what I love, being on TV, calling games, being on air.
You're a busy lady. Follow this terrific sports journalist on X at Kayla_Santiago1 and check out the daily Locked On 76ers podcast on YouTube that she co-hosts with our pal Keith Pompey. Kayla, thanks for making this return visit to Philly Pressbox Radio.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, Chet, I'll tell you what, 2 things. One, there was nothing in there that was sugar-coated. That's for sure. And she's dead on with that. And 2, Kayla's going to be a rock star in the broadcast industry when we're sitting in our recliner, well, more than we are now. She will be on national broadcast, I feel like.
So good. Yeah, and she is 24 years old. She turned 24 this past June. Man, what a future.
Yeah. Hey, one other thing. Yeah. While you guys were talking, Keith Pompey posted Sixers starters for the Grizzlies: George,
Maxey,
Martin, Embiid, McCain, Maxey.
Yep. Yeah, I mentioned that at the bottom of the screen there that it was reported by The Athletic and others that Maxey is in the lineup tonight.
Yep.
Bill, hang on just 1 second. Before we do move on, I need to make a statement, okay? I've been a big Joel Embiid fan since he made the NBA All-Rookie team in 2016-17 through his 7 All-Star seasons and the MVP campaign, even though every single postseason ended way sooner than we would have hoped. I believed him when he said last May that he was going to do whatever it took to change those playoff shortcomings. But what has happened over the last few months has me really ticked off. While some criticized Embiid for playing for Team USA in the Olympics, I was among those who thought it might actually be a plus to experience a likely championship run and be around a dozen other NBA greats. Well, I was clearly wrong. The gold medal game happened August 10th, and the NBA's regular season tipped off October 23rd. That's a 2.5-month gap. And yet Embiid, though he claimed he shed 25 pounds over the offseason, was nowhere near ready to start the season and is still nowhere near in great shape. The ramp-up, well, it went about as well as the process did. He's been accused now by teammates and, well, his friend Tyrese Maxey particularly, of being consistently late for practice and various other team functions. And the injury and the attitude concerns mean he's probably untradeable. So it all comes down to how Embiid responds to this latest mess and the team meeting. He can either work his butt off, get as healthy as possible, and become a dominant top 5 NBA player, or he can sulk and add to his recent woe is me comments and let the situation get even worse, if that's possible. Yeah, it could get real ugly, Sixers fans. For now, I cannot be in Embiid's corner, but show me you really do care, big guy, and maybe I'll come back.
Well, that's good, but I don't like to be a kind of I told you so kind of guy.
Yes, you do.
The writing was on the wall, pal. The writing was on the wall. It's been there since Jimmy Butler and that bunch was there, which was the best team they've had, in my opinion, all around. And he is, again, he's a tremendous talent, but he's just not making the people around him better. Now he's making them worse. That's the problem. And did you know, I didn't realize this, when he was questionable the other day and he missed the shoot around, they made him doubtful.
Yeah.
Well, because he missed the shoot around. Well, he just didn't come. He didn't call him. He didn't come.
And then we had the team meeting Monday night. Yeah.
Well, then he showed up for the game, ready to play, or thought he was ready to play. And that's what led to the whole Tyrese Maxey thing. It wasn't that he called in sick, said I'm sick or whatever. He just didn't show up and didn't call anybody. Then he does show up, and they put him in the lineup. There's big problems there.
Hey, let's not forget our pal Boop predicted a 61-win season for the Sixers and an NBA title. I don't think that's happening, Boop. Sorry.
We'll have to talk to Boop about that.
Let's go tailgating. Tailgating.
Tell us what's going on with the best tailgaters in Philadelphia, Bob Cavanaugh and the gang at Cavs Philly Tailgates.
Cav has been cooking up a terrific catering business for some 35 years now. Known best for the tailgate parties, Cavs is a 3-time winner of Philly Tailgate's Jack Daniels Great American Tailgate Party Contest and a past winner of the Philly Daily News Tailgate Award. Cavs does corporate events and parties, you name it. Of course, Cav also hosts tailgates before all of the Birds games at the Link. You know that. There's the partial schedule. Check the website, phillytailgates.com, for pricing and more information about upcoming events. And if you have questions, you can email them at cavscatering@verizon.net. Cavs Philly Tailgates, Bill, they are the way to go.
Yes, they are. Hey, Chet, the Flyers reached the 500 mark over the weekend, only to lose to Colorado Monday night. They're making progress. They're getting a little banged up. Samuel Urson, Drysdale, York, and now Andrea are all out. 3 defensemen and a goaltender. By the way, in tonight's game, they gave up a goal in the first 30 seconds, down 1-0.
I thought the Urson injury would be a real killer. He's the number 1 guy in the nets, and this season he is 5-2 with a .902 save percentage and a 2.7 goals against average. But it has given the backups, Fedotov and Kolosov, some needed work and experience at least. And injuries allowed the old veteran Eric Johnson to get back in the lineup, and he played in his 1,000th career game last Saturday. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, nice job by the Flyers, too.
Yeah.
with the whole presentation of that 1,000. It's a big thing in hockey, and they did a real nice job with that. But, hey, to cover for the defense, I don't know if you realize this. Travis Sanheim is playing really well. 5 goals, 7 assists already. He is playing 25 minutes and 35 seconds a game. That's kind of unheard of, especially here in the first month or so of the season. He's not going to be able to keep up that pace, but Sanheim playing really well, as is Konechny and Michkov.
We will talk more Flyers, going forward as we get into the winter, but let's talk football again, Bill.
Well, man, we got to make our picks. We're getting a little better each week. We'll see. Bill had a bad week, I think, this week.
Yeah, we all had a so-so week 11, as you can see. Boop and I were both 3-2, nothing special. You, Bill, were 2-3. So Boop is now back in sole possession of first place. You are 1 game back. I remain 6 off the pace. There you go, Bill.
Well, we'll get to our margin of victory stuff after we finish our picks, but we have Boop's picks, I think. He's not with us again tonight, but we added a couple games, San Francisco, Green Bay, and Arizona, Seattle, to go with our NFC East game. So let's get to it. San Francisco at Green Bay, Packers -2.5. Who you like?
All right, I printed out Boop's picks before the show. Boop says San Francisco is coming off a loss at the buzzer. Green Bay coming off a win at the buzzer. This has blowout written all over it. How about that? Boop picks the 49ers. I'm picking the 49ers as well on the road and underdogs.
I'm picking the Packers at home because the Packers are pretty good still. San Francisco's got some things going on, but they beat me last week because they lost to Seattle. Speaking of Seattle, they're hosting Jonathan Gannon's Arizona Cardinals, who are playing great ball. Seattle is -1 at home.
Yeah, that division is really tight, the NFC West. Boop says NFL rules state that every division has to have a team finish first. And right now that looks like the streaking Redbirds. His pick is the Cardinals. I'm taking the home Seahawks to win this one, though.
Yeah, I'm taking the Seahawks, too. I just don't have the faith in Arizona quite yet. Tampa Bay at the Giants. Giants are a mess. New quarterback for the Giants this week.
Yeah, Tommy DeVito back in action. Wow. Boop says New York 0-5 hasn't had a winless home slate since 1974 when they went 0-7 at the Yale Bowl in New Haven, Connecticut. Wow, I remember that 50 years ago. His pick is the Buccaneers. You got to pick the Bucs.
Got to pick the Bucs. Absolutely. Dallas at Washington. The Commanders -10.5. When do you think the last time, if ever, that happened? Maybe Boop threw that out there.
Let's see what Boop says. I don't know. Bad team on the road with a short week against a good team at home with much extra rest. Too easy. His pick is the Commanders. I'm picking the Commanders. I'm going to guess you're picking the Commanders, Bill.
I'm picking the Commanders.
Yeah.
Sunday Night Football, Eagles visit the Rams. Eagles -3. As we said, the Rams are on the outside looking in. A lot more urgency in this game for the Rams than the Eagles, although the Eagles are playing great football.
All right, the Boopster says Birds have topped the Rams in their home, St. Louis or Los Angeles, 5 consecutive times. I thought that. Yeah, 3 in L.A., 2 in St. Louis. His pick is the Eagles. My pick is the Eagles as well. I think they just play real well out there, and they're streaking.
I think the Eagles, too, because they are dominating the offensive and defensive line.
Yep.
All right, let's get to our margin of victory. Somebody, Chet, had a huge week.
Let's see. Oh, speaking of Boop, by the way, a reminder to check out his website where you can get the daily listings of TV sports of interest and all other fun stuff on there. That website, sponsored by Chick's Deli in Cherry Hill, is boopstats.com. Okay, the margin of victory pool, kind of like Survivor pool, but you get points when you correctly pick one team to win that weekend. And yeah, we all had a very, very good week 11, Bill. You particularly, you scored 46 points, courtesy the Lions are out of those Jags. Boop added 24 points because he took Houston to crush the Cowgirls, which happened. And I just got 15 points, a Dolphins win, getting me those 15. But that was enough to keep me atop the margin of victory standings. And now we are on to week 12. And I would not be shocked, Bill, if we all made the same pick this time around. Let's see if I'm right. Boop says, yeah. Chiefs versus Panthers. I say KC over Carolina. That's the same thing. We like the Chiefs.
I am taking the Washington Commanders to beat the daylights out of the Dallas Cowboys.
That, too, is probably a very good and very safe pick.
Hey, kid asked if Boop is still in Facebook jail.
He is indeed still in jail.
He must be on like a real sentence. He's been going a long time.
He has, yeah. I don't know when we'll see him on Facebook again, but we'll have a party for him when he does.
Well, hey, we have a schedule change next week for Thanksgiving, so tell us about that and tell us who's coming to Philly Pressbox Radio next week.
Well, yeah, as we mentioned, next week brings Thanksgiving, and Wednesday is a big party night. Just saying, big party night. Just so I could be involved in that. We are moving.
Is that the preview of the ugly sweater night?
No.
Okay.
No. But we are moving our show next week to Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and we will have two guests once again. Again, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk lots of football with a guy that we met a few months back. He has written or co-authored a great new biography about our pal Bill Bradley, and he also has this book, The NFL in the 1970s, which I haven't read, but I bet you that is great. That'll be fun. Joe Zagorski is the name. We are going to have him on live with us on Tuesday at 7 p.m. In addition to that, Bill, I'm going to have an interview with Conshohocken Brewery's sales director, Andrew Colligan. He's a big sports fan and a beer expert. My kind of guy.
Yeah, well, there you go. There you go. Hey, also, we'll talk to Joe about this next week, but he runs a Facebook page of 1970s football. If you like that stuff and you're of our age, check out that page. Always good stuff posted on there. So check that out. We'll talk to Joe about that as well. Hey, Chet, the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight went exactly as I thought. Paul was paid a lot of money. Stay clear the first couple rounds. Don't get hit while Tyson's going to run out of breath. And then not hurt Tyson for the last 6 rounds. To me, it was an embarrassment, a money grab by all involved. There's no other way to put it. I think Paul reportedly got $40 million. Tyson got $20 million. I'm sure some promoters got lots of million. It was a sham.
It was a bit of a letdown for sure, Bill. Okay, maybe more than a bit of a letdown. It didn't start till almost midnight also. Right. A lot of the bouts on the undercard were actually pretty interesting, including the two women. It was not a whole lot of fun, the main event, but hey, Netflix got lots of attention. Tyson and Paul, as you mentioned, both got big paydays. And I only lost $8 because I did bet on Mike Tyson to pull the upset victory. Didn't happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't even know. I was expecting Mike Tyson to be able to come out and do a little bit of something. He couldn't move his feet. And he he's 58 years old. I get that part. But he just didn't even look like before the fight and after the fight, he didn't even look healthy. I read where he had some medical issues. I heard
in the summer when they had to postpone it. Yeah, he had to get like blood transfusion or whatever.
Bunch of transfusions and some other things. So I guess the money talks, the fight went on, but I can't think anybody was real happy with that, and I can't think that it's good for Mike Tyson's legacy.
No, not at all. And boy, he better not get back in the ring again because that just would be a total embarrassment. Don't do it, Mike. Yeah. Bill, I'm going to be Saturday down in the Maple Shade area at PJ Wheelhands with another one of our former guests, Bob Angelo, rather. And he wrote a great book about the NFL. And I'm going to hang out with him watching the Penn State football game Saturday afternoon at 3:30. If your plans change, you're welcome to join us. Yeah, well, I am on grandpop duty this weekend. We're going to the school play a few times to support the 9-year-old granddaughter. So I am out of the playing football game, and I will be at the school play this weekend. So that's what it's all about. We will have a beer in your honor then. We appreciate it. Wrap it up, Bill. Let's wrap it up. Let's thank tonight's special guests, Chuck Brodsky and Kayla Santiago. Our sponsors, the Irish Rover Station House, Cavs Philly Tailgate, PPCC 118 Rasro. For Jim Chet Chesko, this is Bill Furman. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll join Philly Pressbox Radio next Tuesday night, November 26th at 7 p.m.
You can see us live on Facebook on our Philly Press Box YouTube channel, as well as the STT YouTube channel. And listen on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and all the others. High hopes, Philadelphia sports fans, and go Birds.
Happy trails to you, till we meet again.